Welcome, race fans, to SVR's S2 division, and we're back here after our summer break. It's Monza for today's race, and we're calling this one for you right now. It's Thump in the top of the championship, but only leads by 2 points with 2 wins to his name from Scavvy, who has yet to finish on the top step of the podium, but he's come very close indeed on 95 points. Scavvy. Yank the Tank has dropped to joint third position with Sir Grinch, another two-time winner. Yank the Tank has won that one time as well in what is our ferociously competitive second tier of Formula Racing division here this 2026 VR Sim Racing World Championship season. Nigel Mansell is in fifth. I mean, how about this? By the way, I saw a post. I think it may have been Brum looking. It may have well been Thump posting it, just showing that gap between fourth and first. In the championship with just 4 rounds to go. Nigel Mansell is 1 point in fifth ahead of Jogon Sim and Hobbit, who are joint sixth. Jailhouse Chris chasing up in a top 8 position. Another 2-time winner, Jailhouse Chris. Then we have Senor Dude. A big shout out to Senor Dude for, I think, hosting, but certainly distributing the replay for me in plenty of time. Liquid Gecko in 10th, Nintendo in 11th, John Pauly in 12th, and Biggerwood in 13th. Ron Giles, a relative newcomer here, is in 14th as part of the permanent drivers, and he is on 9 points. But I expect that will be building as he returns to us on a more regular basis. In terms of the team's standings, let's get into that, shall we? Well, PSV Racing have 173, 1 point only ahead of Bro Karga, with Mega Racing still very much in touch there, just 6 points off the lead in third. Igala in fourth, Gecko Racing in fifth, have a tough fight on their hands there with Hector Motorsports for best of the rest, and Team Cyan also not particularly far away, still on 3 figures there, 100 points for Team Cyan. It's really good to be back. I hope everybody has had a productive or at least restful break period, and I can't wait to get ourselves ready. We are standing by on a very cloudy, humid day in Monza as we build towards the sort of setting sun here. If we are able to get a glimpse of the sun in our cloudy day just outside of Milan, Parco di Monza, definitely a bucket list race attendance for me. Would be a proper Monza race. Well, Nigel Mansell now starts at the back of the grid. Don't quite know what happened in qualifying there for Nigel. He will be hoping for much better as a result. But look out for him. Medium tyres starting the number 81 for Bro Karga. We have Biggerwood in 13th for Team Cyan there with the Union flag on the nose, the number 26, also on the medium tyres. And Liquid Gecko starts in his eponymous race outfit with the colour change, gecko-like, or chameleon-like, I suppose, skin, a 196 on the medium tyres. We go up to Nintendo for Igala Motorsport. One of the prettiest car designs on the grid, of course, medium tyres for him. You can see just how little fuel the drivers are allowed here in S2, just under 50% of the available tank, and no refueling. Senor Dude starts on row 5. He will be on the medium tyres likewise. I don't quite know what's happening with this angle. Let's try and change that for you. John P in P9 in the Hector Motorsport, the car that looks fast standing still. He's going to start on the soft tyres from 9th position. Monsieur Keefe, that car looks a lot better than when it's not in the shadow of the club of Monza bleacher cover there. Monsieur Keefe in P8. Also on the soft tyres, so is Jogon Sim for Hector Motorsports, the number 60 in 7th. Jailhouse Chris back onto the mediums then. We've got a fast starting group right in the middle. Right down to the first chicane. That's going to be interesting. Jailhouse Chris in P6 on the medium tyres. We've got Yank the Tank in 5th. Ron Giles, bottom of the championship, but qualifying all the way up in P4. How about that one? On the soft tyres as well as Thump on row 2 there for PSV Racing. We've got Sir Grinch in second, soft tyres for him and soft tyres for your poleman today, who is Scavvy. So looking forward to seeing how the drivers cope with what is going to be a very interesting turn one. The Rettifilo chicane awaits for the drivers. The track of nightmares sometimes, particularly Ascari. Let's wait and see though as we go for 27 racing laps here at Monza. We've got the 5 red lights building. You can hear the engine notes starting up as well. Look out for people pressing the boost. There was a little jump from the Mega Racing car in the background, and it's dropped the clutch, and it's go, go, go. The engine was held for that driver right at the back, and as they launch, I think it may have been Senor Dude. Scabby leads Thump, leads Sir Grinch as they head down a very equal start from the front group here, as it looks like Thump trying to turn in on the car on his inside there, Sir Grinch, and everybody just starting to behave themselves really well through the course of that first chicane. I'm going to go back and see exactly how it looked from further back in the grid. You can see Nintendo with a slow getaway, unfortunately. Maybe he's just being quite cautious, but he's getting overtaken left, right, and indeed centre. Just one car, and I think that's Senor Dude there with the problem. But look at how professional our drivers are being down into Rettifilo here, just tiptoeing around, and they managed to get through that one really well. It's Scabby who gets away though from the Rettifilo through Curva Grande for the first time, and it's Scabby away ahead of Thump, who has got Sir Grinch right on his tail through that Curva Grande and the way into Della Roggia. Thump late on the brakes, really confident on the brakes in those cold tyres as they tore through the Della Roggia chicane, and it was Jailhouse Chris slow, struggling to get through there safely. He picked up a little bit too much curb on one of the two turns. So Grinch down to 8th after fighting for second, really struggled there. Let's have another check of Sir Grinch. He had even more difficulty coming through the Della Roggia. As we turn in, what happens here? Oh, it's a tank slap. It's a traction oversteer moment off onto the outfield, and that is what's caused Sir Grinch to drop back. But he's absolutely the comeback king is Sir Grinch. Senor Dude, talk about this. Super slow away from the start. He's already taken Nintendo. Scabby leads on soft tyres, spamming that boost button already, and getting that done down the Curva de Soralio and end towards Ascari corner then. Look out for this one. Soft tyres, cold tyres even. Perhaps the medium runners are going to struggle more coming through here. Looks like typically Sir Grinch is going absolutely full bore through Ascari on this first racing lap. You love to see it. Drama follows Sir Grinch around. It looks like Liquid Gecko almost has a puncture, but that would have been a penalty on the way down out of Ascari through Parabolica for the first time of asking, and it starts lap 2. It's Scabby Thump Yank, Ron Giles in 4th, Jailhouse Chris, and then it is absolutely anyone's between Mr. Keith, Sir Grinch, and Nigel Mansnail. There'll be a difference in boost. Nigel up from the very back of the grid, don't forget. Nigel in P9 in the Bro Cargo, watching and waiting and kind of hoping, I suppose, that there may be some slower cars slowed up in front that are battling. There goes Jogon Sim, passing Monsieur Keith in the PSV Racing, or at least holding on there, and that is allowing Sir Grinch to start to walk away from that midfield battle and start to focus on Jailhouse Chris up front. We saw how easy it is to slip up coming out of here. The gravel on the exit of Della Roggia, tripping up drivers chronically. You could see there we had a moment, I think, for one of our Igala cars struggling out. I think it probably was Nintendo struggling out of there. And we go back to this grass side camera. I guess it's the Brembo camera, and down into Ascari then with those leaders. The laps come thick and fast. Yank the Tank, massive correction through Ascari, a nightmare for him. Can he keep it out of the barrier? Just about, but Yank the Tank drops hugely down the grid, and Ascari claims his first victim. This is what happened on board with Yank the Tank. Just too much curb, slight miscalculation on the way in, and it just compounded into what became a horrible moment. He'll be seeing that when he closes his eyes tonight after that race. But let's refocus Yank and let's get back on it. P10 is not the end of the world, but the soft tyres, of course, will have had their initial bite gone, and now it's into tyre conservation mode as we're going to go through and start lap 3. Nigel Mansnail, what a hell of a start for Nigel from P14 to P7 before lap 3 even thinks about beginning. Here is Sir Grinch fighting hard with Ron Giles. Grinch has got hella speed this season. Ron Giles has painted Danger on the back of his rear wing. Danger, apparently Ron Giles' middle name. I'm going to have to start going with that one. Ron Danger Giles. Sir Grinch in P5 wasn't able to make the overtake stick. Jailhouse Chris is in third. Thump is in second, and Scavvy. Hell of a start for Scavvy. Love to see it as drivers are picking up. We want to see a new winner, even though we've been spoiled all season, and Scavvy has been knocking on that door several times this season. So what a story that would be if we can get ourselves a win for Scavvy through here, and yet again another new winner in S2. But the midfield is looking like the action zone for us today. So Grinch in P5. Not quite living with Ron Giles' speed down this approach to Ascari corner. In we go, and this really is a beautiful race car from the Gecko Racing team, with the Grinch tie-in as well. Very, very cool. You've got Joe Gonsim in P6. He has started to build the speed now and worry Sir Grinch in his mirrors. Got a nice early apex has Joe Gonsim, and he's on the same compound tyres as Sir Grinch. Managed to get that turn in really nicely. And here goes Ron Giles then, side by side, possibly with Jailhouse Chris on the approach. Chris defending. Ron Giles just says, okay, I'll take the racing line. I'll take the better grip on the left-hand side of the circuit. And I've got a clear and away stretched clean overtake straight up into P3 for Ron Giles. Not bad considering just a lap and a half ago he was trying to defend P4. Mr. O'Keefe in 7th place, waiting for fireworks in front. Biggerwood is 9th with John P there in front of him. Yank the Tank still in 10th. Senor Dude starting just about or is making up just about where he started the race. Something has befallen Nigel, our start king here. What's happened to Nigel? We need to go a long way back here for Nigel. Let's go and have a look. This is the run through Curva Grande on lap 3. So heading down towards Della Roggia. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there on the way in. I didn't upset the car. He may feel like that was a distraction. Let's have another check of this one, because all the time you have to leave the space, of course. So was there a car's width on the approach here? That's very, very close. Let me know what you think in the comments. But ultimately, I don't think it was sufficient to put Nigel in that position, unfortunately. So we'll skip forward a slight bit. Here is Senor Dude fighting with Yank the Tank. Senor Dude managed to get ahead of Yank the Tank for a moment there. He ducks back in to try and get an extra little bit of slipstream as we head down towards the Rettifilio chicane. The front three remain unchanged. Side by side, it is possible through Rettifilio. Congratulations to those two drivers. Brilliant work from Yank the Tank and Senor Dude, showing Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen exactly how you can do that without risking life and limb, or at least life and head. Nintendo in 13th, Liquid Gecko in 14th. But Scavvy leads in the 27 by a couple seconds, probably even 3 by the look of things here. Thump staying with him, and both of them drifting away bit by bit from Ron Giles, who himself has opened a small gap, maybe 0.7 of a second, something like that, to Jailhouse Chris, who he recently overtook through underneath the Brembo sign and approaching Ascari, the braking zone, not far away from that sign. It's always a good reference point because it can't be destroyed by a competitor. Oh, Mr. O'Keefe struggling through there, and it looked like Sir Grinch was certainly on the hairier side coming through. Let's have a look on the nose then of Sir Grinch. Looked like we were struggling. Yeah, he is having difficulty, Sir Grinch, getting the car into these corners, and then way out wide. And being passed very easily, of course, by Joe Gonsim because of that drop in momentum. So Grinch, I think, set up for speed, but not turning, or at least not corner entry. Look at this. Again, a full 2 car widths to the apex of Parabolica. It's not super important to get that, but you would rather have it than not. So I do think Sir Grinch struggling but he should have top speed in abundance. What's that? 168, a clear 5 miles an hour faster than Jogon Sim, the car in front of him. That's insufficient to actually make the difference through there, but Joe's picking up some really neat and tidy apexes and staying on the racing line like glue. So for now at least, that will be enough to hold at bay Sir Grinch, who has the equal tyres on the front. Very little in the way of tyre wear at this stage. You're only really worried about Parabolica using up the outside tyre here and it's the same outside tyre, of course, as Curva Grande, but not a lot of G-force going through the car in Curva Grande. Jogon Sim, though, has actually managed to pick up a 1-second penalty. I can't be accused of cursing him there, can I? Because we were doing this via replay, but maybe in spirit. Scabby leads Thump on lap 5, looking out for what could be a one-stopper for some drivers, but in all likelihood a 2-stop race because the hard tyres are very, very unusable. Ron Giles in 3rd place, and here is Jailhouse Chris for a moment defending from Jogon Sim, but of course that penalty then for Joe has lost him 2 positions. That is going to be a big difference maker here today at Monza, is staying within those track limits, because it hurts so much to take those penalties down that back straight. Jogon Sim has managed to stay within slipstream of the PSV Racing team boss and driver Monsieur Keefe here, and he blasts by using a bit of that boost, kept a bit of boost in his pocket. Jogon Sim, as you would expect, wily fox that he is, manages to get by and produce a really good re-overtake following that penalty on the car. So Grinch picking up the pace, managed to dispatch with Joe, and now try and exploit that top speed advantage I think he carries over some of the other drivers here, down into the braking zone, and he was thinking about it, certainly putting on the pressure on Jailhouse Chris. And of course you can always make a mistake when you're being pressured from behind. You can just miss by the tiniest 1/10 of a second or so your braking zone, and suddenly you're finding yourself chasing performance once again, but chasing grip. On the outside of Lesmo 2 goes Sir Grinch, the tail wagging slightly on his Gecko racing car, but managing to hang on to it. The triplicate here, Jailhouse Chris ahead of this triple pack. It's Sir Grinch, Jogon Sim, Monsieur Keefe as they come through this great Ascari corner. Joe with a great run through there, and fully on it, I have to say, by the look of that Ascari run. He absolutely nailed Ascari in comparison with Sir Grinch. And so just talking about that setup difference between the two cars, you can see that the sun will not be raising the track temperatures to too great an extent. Joe has fully defended down onto the apron there, almost the qualifying line for Joe, but he's absolutely cannot fight with Sir Grinch coming through here. It's going to be a strategic battle between these two, but how much will it cost them in the outright bid for a podium, which they'll still both be dreaming of? To fight with each other. Maybe they can cooperate at this early stage of proceedings. You can start to trust a driver that you're racing with if you can make those clean overtakes and they're not being too boisterous in defence, trying to win the war rather than the battle here. Scavy, fastest lap, 134.153 on the starting tyres. He started on the softs. It's lap 7. We're approaching 1/3 distance of our 9th round of the championship. Just 3 more races to go to decide our championship positions and of course our champion overall. Thump entering this race just 2 points ahead of Scavy, and it is going to be a fantastic battle between those two. Thump, how hungry is he for a 3rd win of the championship? Last one in round 7 and previously round 4. Scavy going for his 1st win of this 2026 VR Sim Racing World Championship, as I mentioned earlier. Jogon Sim in 6th, Mr. Keefe in 7th. We've got John P. Nigel Mansell now back on the comeback again. Mr. Double comeback, I think it's going to be today. Nigel's got a hell of pace. He's started at the back, up to 7th, back down again, and back now to 9th place. So Still, plenty of race left for him to unpack. Senor Dude in 10th, Nintendo in 11th. We've got Liquid Gecko in 12th. Again, Yank the Tank, struggling out there. Has put medium tyres on. I think may have picked up some damage with that Spinneroonie through this very corner. Ascari, that will make him feel nervous and underconfident coming through here every subsequent lap of this racing day. I've got no doubt. With Biggerwood in 14th. I know Biggerwood has been having difficulty finding practice time and opportunity, but he's determined to see this season out. Scavvy in P1 has a huge lead over Thump, who may have come unstuck a little bit earlier on or picked up a penalty, because that gap has grown alarmingly now back to Thump. Ron Giles in 3rd, Jailhouse Chris in 4th, and Sir Grinch in 5th. I don't think I've had Thump actually confirmed to me recently whether he's been working on his long-term stint. Sir Grinch, again, wild. This is why people love Sir Grinch. He is absolutely full chat all the time. It's very Colin McRae, isn't it? With Sir Grinch. And Jogon Sim in 6th place will presumably have a similarly good run through Ascari as last time out. There you can see another good gain from Joe. Let's ride on his roll hoop here, and look at the boost he's got with the slipstream, with the exit speed out of Ascari. And then just at the end of the straight, Sir Grinch just getting away from him slightly, but Joe is absolutely within range here. Thump hits after that 1/3 distance. Could be going for a one stop to try and get double the life out of the mediums as the soft tyres gave him. Softs are at least on Jogon Sims, not really in the danger zone yet. Maybe a couple laps away from that danger zone. So Thump taking a bit of a chance here, but no way through that time from Joe. Didn't manage to get a lot of speed. Here is Thump's exit from the pit lane, directly into the battle between John P and Nigel. Nigel doesn't manage to gain a position there as a result of Thump's pit stop, but he's able to now run with a win contender, and that will teach him a thing or two about Thump's approach to these corners, and how maybe he can follow him through, hang on to his coattails, and make the difference. But John P, currently a difficult customer to pass because of his consistency. How about that from Thump though, in between the Lesmos. Have to be careful the way I say that, but in between the two Lesmo corners goes Thump. He gets up nicely, just a stab of the boost. I think Nigel's using a bit of boost here as well, and I think is focused on following Thump right now. John P on the old soft tyres at a distinct disadvantage at this stage. Scavvy pits after lap 8 from the lead of the race with 31 litres of fuel remaining, and Nigel Mansnail then in P7 once again for the second time today after his 2 big comebacks. Can he avoid whatever pitfall befell him earlier on and move his way forward and continue into the top half of the field? We will wait and see, of course. John P enters the pit. Senor Dude in 9th, Nintendo in 10th. Keith, Gecko, Yank and Biggerwood make out your second half of the field. Ron Giles is your current leader of the race. He's on the soft tyres. He's kept those alive nicely, and I still think those left-hand tyres are gonna run if he needs them to a little bit longer. Be waiting for the medium tyre window to open, I think, at this stage. Scavvy is right tucked up behind Jailhouse Chris. Chris through Della Roggia, neat and tidy. It's a significant amount of wind. It's not an ideal wind direction. Certainly Lord Vader let me know that northwesterly is your desired wind direction through here, which is actually a crosswind straight through Curva Grande, so that's much better for you as a driver to extract the best strategy and race time. So we've got a southwesterly today as we head into Ascari. It's Sir Grinch in 4th position. Jogon Sim in 5th. Scavvy ahead, who has made his pit stop. Sir Grinch still yet to make his pit stop. So just underlining how much of a gap Scavvy had built to the rest of the field. Put himself from 1st only down into 3rd. That is quite an impressive display from Scavvy. Scavvy, one of my most loyal viewers on my channel, actually, come to mention it. Nigel Mansell then will pick up some positions here as he comes through. I'm just starting to doubt myself now. I'm wondering whether Nigel has made a pit stop. I don't believe he has, actually, thinking about it. But as we run through the tail end of the field, just see how far everybody is. Biggerwood just picking up a penalty there on new medium tyres as well. Unfamiliarity, seat time a problem, and we have something of a Team Siam sandwich our entire race here. Ron Giles still taking chances through Della Roggia, whether that's intentional or not, it's hard for me to say. Jailhouse Chris playing spoiler right now to Scavi's pace. Scavi will be wary of Chris, I think, not because Chris is a bad driver, but because this could undo Scavi's race. So this is perhaps an opportunity for Scavi to save a little bit of fuel, save his boost for later on. Just ride the draft of Jailhouse Chris's SF23 and wait for his pit stop. But it will be a while before it arrives. Scavi beds in these medium tyres, and I think he's doing exactly that, possibly even turning the engine down. It looks slow right now from Scavi, and he's not able to use that slipstream. So we'll see. The gap back to Thump has shrunk as a result. Thump's in clear air. Scavi is very much not, breathing in the hot race car fuel fumes at the back of Jailhouse Chris, our new leader, as Ron Giles now pits. And where will Ron come out? You can see drop down off the jacks. Perfect pit stop from his team, of course, and then back out again. Don't touch that white line on exit. Again, very, very fine margins. When you're on a really simplistic racetrack like Monza, simplistic in its race design, but not in its bear traps outside of the actual racetrack design. It's those fine margins, those inattentive moments, the penalties that stack up, and it is absolutely prohibitive here at Monza, of course, to pick up those 3-second penalties for pit lane entry or exit infractions. Jailhouse Chris leads. It's lap 12 of the 27. Jailhouse Chris, though, has not pitted. He'll be keeping an eye on his gap behind and asking his race engineer or asking Hector pit stop gap behind, and see if he can find some clear air. Scavi's really struggling on those medium tyres, I have to say. Let's have a look at that moment coming out of Lesmo 2. I didn't think he looked that wide. I think he's okay. I think he's okay. It may have been lag to the car in front I was watching, possibly. But Scavi not deploying a great deal of his amazing speed so far. Be keeping an eye on the mirrors. He knows, obviously, that Thump is behind him. Well, I hope he knows. 134.153 stands as the fastest lap of the race. I think that may get beaten by drivers on the option strategy, going medium to soft later on. We will see, of course. Fascinating race strategy at play here, if not for overtakes at this stage of proceedings. Nigel Mansell still hasn't made his pit stop, climbing to 4th, and we'll see where that puts him out. Ron Giles in 5th after his one, and I anticipate now only pit stop. Senor Dude in 6th with Sir Grinch right with him. Let's ride with Sir Grinch to see what kind of top speed we can get with the trimmed out wings and the slipstream. It looks like this will be a gaining lap rather than an overtake down into the Rettifilio. Later on the brakes, just throw the car into the corner, pick up a little bit of additional turn thanks to touching that inside bright orange Cheeto curb, and then through Curva Grande we will build once again. And Sir Grinch waiting to pounce. Senor Dude will be checking his mirrors. Look, he's not even peeling across to the racing line early. And Sir Grinch playing games and staying in the mind of Senor Dude at all times. There is the hint of a car behind of Sir Grinch. He can't be too cute about how he uses this racetrack at this stage. He's got to get this job done quite quickly. Brand new medium tyres for him. He'll hope that that doesn't pick up a penalty, riding out on the curb with all 4 wheels, exiting Lesmo 2, and that has slowed him very, very slightly, heading towards Ascari's. Slight incline on the way here, so you can brake even later, and then picking up the throttle before the apex of part 2 of Ascari. But Sir Grinch is unable to optimise Ascari, I think, down to that setup choice that he's made in comparison to perhaps some other drivers who've been a little bit more generous in the downforce that they've wound into their adjustable front and rear wings. Adjustable only before the race, of course. There's no rear wing movement active aero on these cars. Thump in P3. How far from Scavy is Thump right now? Well, we can't see him. He's still a reasonable distance. Thump will be using his boost here, try and catch Scavy while Scavy's caught up behind Jailhouse Chris. But of course, Scavy can take it easy and save that boost, and he's exactly doing that. The only problem is it plays havoc with your fuel economy later on in the race. So it's the same for everybody, but it's a harder calculation at the end of the race if you've saved all of your boost until the end of the race comes, because your average fuel calculation is a little bit skewed out. But again, these are fine margins that our elite drivers have to think about. Ron Giles in 5th, still net 3rd, with pit stops still to come from Jailhouse Chris and Nigel Mansnail. Ron Giles' main rival, I think, Sir Grinch at this stage. Sir Grinch on the new tyres, same strategy here. Sir Grinch deploying that speed, deploying his boost in towards Ascari. He may get taken straight back again, though, on the next 2 straightaways, because Senor Dude can go through a bit smoother, but thanks to the defensive shape Sir Grinch forced from Senor Dude, that compromised his entry and therefore his exit. But look at this, once again, Senor Dude smoother out of Ascari, and a nice tight apex gets out onto the power, out onto the grippy side. I do think the marble placement here at on GT7 is a little bit off when it comes to Parabolica. It's the technical geometric racing line they've deployed the marbles, not the actual grip and natural driver racing line, which is very early apex, very wide exit, because the grip is there, and of course the grip remains there the longer drivers take that line, and the compound effect of all of them, no pun intended. Mr. O'Keefe chasing down Nintendo here for P9. I would imagine would have been hoping for slightly better than this today. John P in 11th has made his pit stop. Liquid Gecko looks like he has not yet made his pit stop. Biggerwood in 13th, waiting for the soft tyre window to open. It's lap 14 for Yank the Tank. Former championship contender, now joint 3rd with Sir Grinch on the way into this race, but it does look like for the time being Yank's championship hopes are starting to fade. I'm aware that Yank has been on his international travels over the last few weeks, and that can obviously just unsettle you. I know Yank also does a lot of non-GT7 gaming time, and again, perhaps other drivers dedicate more of their free time to racing and practicing, possibly. But Yank will correct me, I'm sure, if he's put 60 hours in prior to this race. I dare say he probably won't admit it if he finishes in the last position today, if he has put a hell of a lot of practice in. It's a funny one, Monza, because it's so easy. It's not easy. It's so straightforward to get close to the top times in practice. And you can start to think, okay, I don't maybe need to practice race conditions too much. It's very straightforward track, but understanding the car, protecting it at the start of a stint, so you've got something left at the end of the stint, or you can extend the end of that stint for the pit stop, is massively important. Here it comes Ron Giles then on Nigel Mansnail as they come through the 2 Lesmo corners. Nigel turning in on the much older tyres, same compound but much older. These are the tyres Ron's going to take to the end of the race, and we wait then for Nigel's pit stop. I think we're knocking on the door of the soft tyre window, especially with the reduced weight thanks to the fuel burn off. No refueling, as I mentioned earlier, so the cars just get lighter and lighter, and Ron, well, he'll take that one as a get out of jail free card has been used then from Ron. So whether he pays attention to that and just takes a slight breather, because he's at risk here of chucking away 3rd position trying to stay in the dirty area of Nigel Mansell. Into the pit lane, Jailhouse Chris then, just underlining that we are on the bubble of the soft tyre window with 10 racing, well, say 11 racing laps to go as they cross the start-finish line there to start lap 17. Scabby leads Thump thanks to that pit stop. Thump is back at the moment entering Curva Grande. So the gap has dropped significantly, but Thump has used more fuel and boost than Scabby to try and catch him. He doesn't know what Scabby's been going through, doesn't know whether Scabby's preserved fuel and boost or not, but obviously we do. Maybe a pixel more fuel on board Scabby and certainly a significant chunk more boost. So Scabby will now be planning his final 10 laps out carefully in his mind, trying to keep those lap times good, unlock a bit of extra speed now, not get too settled into the lap times that he was running, stuck behind a driver on a different strategy. Just find that extra gear and switch it up. The 27 is significantly ahead now. That won't be I think a driver would probably gain something in qualifying following at that distance, but in the race I'm not convinced that kind of a gap is helpful between Scabby and Thump. So it's waiting to see. A little use of the boost there on the way out. He's going to sip the boost rather than spend it in large chunks. Thump in P2. Nigel Mansell is in the 81 here, hasn't pitted. Ron Giles makes his way by. That is just a straightforward straightaway pass as they go down into Retifidio. Ron just slightly off the racing line there, just to perhaps protect from Nigel coming straight back at him after picking up a couple extra seconds behind of him. You're never quite confident, but there it is. Managed to make the move. Perhaps the danger sign on the back wing is helping. How easy is that to read from Nigel's point of view? It's pretty easy to read, isn't it? I think if it was white on the back or cyan with a white outline, it would be even easier. But red on black, not too bad at all. Nigel just trying to rescue his race. A top 4 would be fantastic for Nigel. I mean, I think a top 6 would be outstanding from 14th on the grid, bearing in mind what's happened so far. But Sir Grinch will have something to say about Nigel finishing 4th here. Grinch has made the pit stop. You can see the mist starting to hang around at the dip there under the trees in this parkland circuit. That may burn off. Sometimes we get the sun coming out late evening. Late afternoon. Late evening, the sun doesn't come out anywhere. We've got Giles Chris in P6 as he runs through Ascari. Go back to Joe Gonsim. Nice gap to him. Big gap back to Michelle Keefe. So we've got a definite set of driver groupings. We've got the top 6 all on the main straightaway at this stage. Joe Gonsim and Michelle Keefe, John P and Senor Dude, those 3 that I've most recently mentioned. The closest 3 drivers on track at the moment, and then another big gap back to the slower drivers so far at the back. And we've got Liquid Gecko, Biggerwood, Nintendo, and Yank the Tank. How's things looking for Scabby? We've still got a reasonable, the entire Della Roggia chicane in front of Thump. Hard for me to read, but I'm guessing 4.5 to 5 seconds. And again, with that boost and fuel advantage, is in a great position. But you can never rest at Monza. Maybe down the start-finish straight you can rest and maybe take a deep breath coming out of Ascari, because you've probably been holding it going through there. But everywhere else you've got to pay a great deal of attention to how the car is feeling and running. Beautiful sound out of the SF23s as they race past our static cameras. Thump in P2. Ron Giles. Also, I'll tell you what, another great thing to see is how many different teams are represented at the top end of the grid. We seed our teams here at SVR, so we pair faster drivers with less experienced drivers or slightly slower drivers in qualifying times, in the hope that they lift each other when they train together, and the entire grid becomes better, the entire championship becomes better as you're exposed to drivers who are incentivized to help you by being your teammate. And I think that's absolutely true. If you were to compare, let's say, S1, our season 1 pace, versus, say, S2 this season, I think that would be quite similar as the experience starts to build into a positive spiral here at SVR. Nigel Mansell now back out then into 7th position. On the soft tyres, he's got a couple drivers within sight in front. Could well be able to finish in the top half of the grid here today. Maybe a top 5 is on the cards. Jogon Sim on his medium tyres will not be as quick, of course, as Nigel Mansell, but there is a gap for him to protect. Jailhouse Chris on his newer soft tyres, but looks like they're going to need some protection. I think it was Jailhouse Chris first to pit off the mediums onto the softs. So Grinch in P4. So I think Nigel can probably dream of P6 here today after starting 14th. Nigel entering the day here in 5th position in the championship. Could well be that he could get close to Yank the Tank's championship position by the end of today, given Yank's likely finishing position. So Grinch in 4th, Jailhouse Chris in 5th. We have the grid just starting to condense slightly right now. Jogon Sim in 6th, Nigel Mansell in 7th, Michelle Keefe in 8th, and then we've got Senior Dude and John P. Looking close on the track map, not as close when you actually get to the drivers here. Scabby still leads Thump though, out front, and Ron Giles is in P3. The top 3 are in good shape, you've got to say, to finish where they are right now. We'll see what Ron can do, whether he can start to gain on Thump with that later pit stop. Senior Dude in 9th here. Personal best for Senior Dude. This is the point where the fuel burn off and the tyre condition get into a really happy position then for the drivers, and they start to get in those PBs. Whether anyone would be able to challenge Scabby's early pace there on fresh tyres of 34.153 remains to be seen. It's about 0.7 of a second away, Senior Dude's PB from that one, and we'll see exactly how the pace either builds or fades as we go through the final portion of the race. John P in 10th was a lot higher earlier on, fighting with I want to say fighting with Grinch, I think he was earlier on. Liquid Gecko in 11th, Nintendo in 12th place. Typically dogged, hard-working performance from Nintendo. Biggerwood in P13. I think Biggerwood and Yank the Tank both struggling for practice time, and I think that's probably the key determiner here for them today. Hopefully that they'll be able to find some opportunity to deploy a little bit more time in the seat. It all remains to be seen, of course, through the last 3 rounds of the season. Difficult to stay motivated, but I know we've got the vast majority of our grid have got a champion's mindset and want to finish as strongly as possible and build towards the next 2027 VR Sim Racing World Championship Series. It's Thump in P2, it's Ron in P3, but Scabby has a very comfortable lead at this stage. He's in a fabulous position to take win number 1 of this 2026 Racing Championship. Nice little hop over the curb there from Jailhouse Chris in P5, still pushing, which you love to see. It's right on board with Jailhouse Chris here, running nice and wide through Lesmo 1, trying to open out Lesmo 2, and succeeding. Got a good bit of boost left on the car, and you're just following and watching those tail lights on the car in front, and just hoping that there is an opportunity to try and get up to P4 with Sir Grinch. Things have calmed quite a lot in the cockpit from Sir Grinch, but once again you can see Jailhouse Chris faster through Ascari and down this back straightaway, and the approach into Parabolica. Crane's watching on, waiting for possible need to rescue a car. Tyres screaming and complaining for Jailhouse here on the softs. Still needs to get a fair few laps out of them to cross the line. That's 5 to go, and a PB from Jailhouse Chris. Bit between his teeth, Chris, here, as he stares down the diffuser of Sir Grinch ahead in the Gecko Racing. Top 3 remaining unchanged. Nice little scuff mark on those Cheeto curbs there, and there Grinch is starting to light up those rear tyres on the mediums. That will have Jailhouse Chris licking his lips, because he was already gaining on Sir Grinch and then sees the tail just snap for a microsecond. Grinch obviously able to catch that slide, but he's had his problems today, Grinch, not least out of this next corner. Jailhouse Chris less aggressive on the first curb. I think that costs him a 10th versus Sir Grinch, but we will see. He knows he's stronger at the second half of the lap here, because he's carrying, I suspect, more downforce. That will help his exit for a moment, as will his newer, softer tyres. And we build and build the speed then, heading towards Ascari. Put the pressure on, maybe move in the mirrors as Grinch approaches the braking zone. Maybe it's a little early for that. You can't go around flashing your headlights here in these SF23s either. But once again, we go full throttle out of Ascari and play the catching game here. Gap dropping under a second now. That's the beautiful sweet spot. Great turn-in performance from Sir Grinch, from Jailhouse Chris. Grinch has been struggling with turn-in all day. The front just not responding at all. Tries to kick a little bit of dust up into Jailhouse Chris's face and succeeds, I think, for a second there. Little weave, but he's committed now. Can't then defend on the braking zone against Jailhouse Chris. Smart driving from both of them so far, but they're being patient. 4 to go on the way through. Well, just less than 4 complete laps to run here. Mega Racing's Jailhouse Chris focusing very much on what I imagine to be the most likely overtake, if we're going to see one. As for accidents and incidents, who knows? As the tyres wear off and drivers start to want to get the fastest lap, we can end up with accidents. Fastest lap doesn't buy you anything in our S divisions because of the boost. You could decide to go for the fastest lap and use all your boost in one lap, so it kind of makes a mockery of giving any bonus point out. Actually, they're not far from Ron Giles here either, but I think that the battle between the two of them is going to cost them any hope of securing a podium today. Jailhouse Chris, 2 wins so far, round 1 and round 5. No other podiums though for Jailhouse Chris in this season. While it's had some highlights, I guess the consistency hasn't quite been equal to the top 7 in the championship at this point, which is a fairly obvious thing to say, but unusual to see a driver with 2 wins so far down in the championship. That's a penalty for Jailhouse Chris. He's going to really have to push now. He's got more boost available to him as we start lap 25 of the 27. Scabby Thump Ron, still that podium. This is the probably remaining battle on the grid at this time. Just keeping my eye out. It always looks like through the Rettifilio that people are having accidents, but I don't believe they are. Jailhouse Chris is in 5th. Nigel Mansell a good distance behind them, but what a race from Nigel. Scabby in P1, big hop in that first curb. So Chris starting to get as aggressive as Sir Grinch is through Della Roggia. I'm not sure how deliberate the drivers are being with those curbs. It's such a tight racing line through there to get right, and it's a lot safer in race conditions to stay off the curbs, of course. Grinch then into Ascari. Jailhouse Chris, before the penalty has to be paid, has lost out on this lap. Is that an indication perhaps from Jailhouse Chris that he's given up this run for 4th? That will hurt to the tune of a much greater degree than the half second that it says on screen. So Grinch looks like he's going to be able to scamper away now from Jailhouse Chris, and that's a shame. It's a shame we're not likely to get an attack here at the end of the race. Anybody dangerous on fuel? Looks like everybody's got sufficient fuel here. 2 to go. Scabby has started his penultimate lap in the Brokaga. He'll be hearing every knock and noise and concerning tyre chatter through his wheel, and getting worried now. Always difficult when it's your first win of any season campaign on the cards. Scabby second in the championship. His main championship rival just 2 points ahead of him, Thump. So obviously winning against Thump today will be able to lift him to the top step of the Provisional Championship with 3 rounds to go. Ron Giles goes very wide out of Lesmo 2. Looks like the tyres are snapping. Sorry, it's Lesmo won that first one. And here comes Sir Grinch on the medium tyres likewise. He doesn't have any boost remaining to him at all, Grinch. So Ron has a little bit to defend with. Into Ascari we go. Is it going to be a safe run for everybody? Oh, he's really struggling, Ron, right now to hang on to this car. So will he be thinking about using the boost? Well, certainly Sir Grinch has got top speed advantage. Certainly he'll have to use some on this final racing lap now as a defensive tactic. Can he exit Parabolica and give himself enough breathing room so that Sir Grinch doesn't go for the move, heading down in towards this Rettifilio chicane. Gap behind, huge now to Jailhouse Chris, thanks to that penalty last time out. Here comes Sir Grinch, top speed equalising, slightly quicker, but he's not in striking distance just yet. Still, Ron Giles hanging on to that boost for the final drag race run out of Parabolica, I suspect. We will see. Still not spending it. So Sir Grinch could well jump here down into Della Roggia. It's the final racing lap, if I haven't mentioned that already. Heading down, and that's a good defensive shape from Ron Giles. And Sir Grinch forced to the outside. And, well, wasn't able to get the turn in. And I see absolutely nothing wrong with what Ron did there at first glance. Sir Grinch is going to have to do it all in this final half of the final lap of the race. Jailhouse Chris in 5th, as I mentioned. It looks like everyone's going to finish on the lead lap as well, which is awesome to see. Just heading through, make sure Scabby's made it through Ascari. Here comes Thump. Through Ascari himself, staying well away from the curbs on this final racing lap. Ron Giles and Gecko and Grinch will come through in his Gecko racing car. Scabby, though, to take his first win of the season. Scabby wins in Monza. Phenomenal race and performance for him. So good to see somebody new winning at this late stage of the championship. Thump in P2 is going to cross the line and take home and end up second in the championship now. It's Ron Giles who completes the podium today as well. What a fantastic run from him, who has not been anywhere near the podium yet this season. Grinch in 4th and Jailhouse Chris in 5th fought hard. Nigel Mansnail, my driver of the day, who finishes in P6. Jogon Sim comes through for 7th place. The top 6 have closed together very nicely indeed at the end there. Jogon Sim in 7th. We have Senor Dude coming home in P8. Looks like it's going to be relatively straightforward for everybody on the way through here. It's Mush O'Keefe looking like he's got 0 fuel left at all, but still at VMAX then. Mr. O'Keefe in 9th. John P. home in 10th position. You've got to say, Keefe, perfect fuel management there. Liquid Gecko pushing incredibly hard on the way out of here. Hasn't used his boost all race. Liquid Gecko home in 11th. Might want to think about using a bit of boost earlier on there rather than midpoint through Parabolica as the car's stepping out on you. Here comes Biggerwood to finish out in 12th. I think that will be a reasonable finish in his mind for him, for Biggerwood. Nintendo home in 13th, and Yank the Tank, a nightmare for Igala. But congratulations to Scabby, Thump and Ron Giles, particularly Scabby, for win number 1 this season. Amazing race, thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too. That was our race then at Monza. Next up, we will be in Watkins Glen in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget to like the video today. Find something on my channel to like if you would be so kind, and yeah, tune in this coming weekend for the G1 race at our normal live times. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Webo signing out. This is SVR Racing at its best, and we will catch you on the next race day.